Now, when I watched the first dance from the final Magic Mike film, I truly felt I got the full value from my purchase in just that one scene. Yeah, I was that impressed with the initial dance because it held so much beautiful dominance in so many nuanced ways. So stay tuned because today I'm breaking down exactly why Mike's moves are magic and how you can use his seduction strategies with or without a lap dance. Remember how last week we talked about setting the table in your woman's mind before enjoying the meal of her body? Well, Mike demonstrated this so well with Max before the dance even began. She gets vulnerable about her situation. She expresses a need, and then, as many of us women do, she feels ashamed and begins apologizing for her feelings. And that's the first key here. Mike saw the small emotional shift, and he pulled her out of it by showing her empathy and holding emotional space for her, validating her emotions and her experiences. Hey, you're not alone. I understand. So the scene at this point was really already set for Max to shift out of her normal dominant space into a softer, more feminine, or even bottom space, which Mike picks up on due to her vulnerability, and he instantly shifts into a dominant, nurturing space with her. You'll see he walks directly over to the door, locks it, securing their private moment, pours her a drink. Here, have a drink. I think you need a drink. Starts arranging the room as he will need, right? And this is giving Max the time and the emotional space to further shift into that softer or submissive energy, to receive the masculine energy and aggression that she wanted, that she requested through the dance. But as Mike always demonstrates so well, he gets and keeps her consent, and he does so so playfully, as she tells him that if he crosses the line, she'll just slap him. He says, okay, that's fine, good arrangement. But as I said in the last video, a simple, enthusiastic yes isn't enough. Remember the Alchemy of Opposites we discussed last week? Well, Mike employs this so well throughout the dance, but initially wins Max's yes when he asks if he may touch her. You'll see then he proceeds to gently lift her arm, not just her hand, her whole arm, stroke her palm and her wrist, which are, believe it or not, highly erogenous zones. That's the sweet. And then he tucks her hand under his waistband and the dance begins. That's the hard. Then it's all about increasing not only the masculine energy, but the power gap between them. Because there is one. Max wanted one. She requested it. Because increasing this power gap between them further encourages Max to let go, to get soft, and to bask in the release of her feminine energy. But one of the moments I love so much about this scene is what happens when Max really starts embracing her desire and arousal. She switches back into a top space momentarily. Do you see it? Did you catch it? Her feminine is hungry enough and feels safe enough to initiate more, to go after what she wants, which at this juncture is Mike. And what I love even more is that Mike intuitively understands the switch is not because she wants to dominate. He understands that the switch is taking place because she's trying to initiate more of his domination over her by showing him her desire for him. Follow all that? And that's really, gentlemen, when you know you're getting somewhere. when she's asking you for it, when she's begging you for it, when she takes your hand and leads it somewhere, when she tries to get closer to your body, when she's trying to pull your body closer to hers, all of those are cues that the feminine is awake and wants to play. So the next example I'd like to review is the rehearsal dance about an hour into the third film. One of the hired dancers performs a lap dance to the song Permission, and although it's very technically skilled, the performance itself was like cringe to watch. Anyone watch it and it was like, oh, cringe? And even the woman, the actress who was sitting in the chair receiving the dance, you could tell she was just cringe, right? It was very cold. The performance was very cold and detached. And like I said, it left the actress sitting there just feeling really quite awkward by the end of it. Let that be a lesson, gentlemen. Your equipment can be exceptional. Your technique can be exceptional. But if you do not know how to wield your equipment with the right technique, creating an emotional connection with your girl, your equipment and your technique will never be enough. It's never going to be enough to hold her attention or build her arousal. It's about the connection. And Mike understands this, so he jumps in to help. And he emphasizes a point we discussed last week, the importance of getting and keeping the yes. So if you haven't already watched that part one of this series, just follow the link in this description to get caught up. But anyway, Mike asserts, and I agree, that this dance in particular is more like fucking than dancing. So in order to get and keep her yes, a connection needs to take place. Then, we see in a matter of moments, Mike goes through a series of highly effective seduction strategies that not only win a very enthusiastic yes, but an eagerness for more, starting with his introduction. Now, he knows this woman. She's his co-worker. She's an actress in the show he's producing. But at this moment, she's not the co-worker. She's not the actress. Right here and right now, she's a flesh and blood woman with passion and desires, and one whom he wishes to seduce. So he begins with a very warm, friendly, inviting smile and kneels down, asks permission to touch her like he typically does. But what I want to point out here is that the kneeling is not only a gesture of honor, but it's a gesture that places him on her level instead of above her in a more aggressive or potentially threatening position. Getting into the mind, right? And even then, he keeps things playful as he verifies her consent, almost making her ask him to touch her. That's the sweet. When she agrees, the dance begins. That's the hard. Now, what I love so much about his technique here is the insistence on connection between the two of them. He arouses her, gets a bit dominant with her, but maintains eye contact with her. Now, this is a deep level of presence. Don't underestimate it, because it demands intense vulnerability from the partner that you're with, which often leads to intensely passionate results. We see the alchemy of opposites play out so well in this example as Mike touches her face and her hair in a combination of both dominant, masculine, aggressive energy with very tender and nurturing vibes as well. The killer combo. And he demonstrates more of this contrast throughout the rest of the dance as he lays in her lap and allows her to feel dominant and loving and nurturing toward him in that moment. which really reinforces that sweet connection. But then again, he flips it, brings in the hard by putting her hands on his body to encourage further desire and exploration. And by the end of this minute, this all took place literally in a minute. She is happy, laughing, aroused, and reluctant to pull away from him in 1 minute. That's all it takes to create a deeply erotic connection if you know what you're doing. And I certainly hope this series has helped you get the info you need to feel confident in your own seduction game. And be sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on so you won't miss any new content. And I'll see you in the next video.